We have the Honorable Byron York of the Washington Examiner with us today. Byron, how are you doing, friend?
Always enjoy the honorable part.
You like that better than Lord Byron?
I'll go for the honorable.
I guess, okay. It's like a little much. I mean, after all, you're not Obama.
Maybe we should ask Marty what she thinks.
I'm not going there. I'm just not going to.
You're not going to go there.
Ladies and gentlemen, that would be his wife.
Yeah, moving right along. Well, I was looking at a piece that you did, and you were talking to some of the Republicans on the House side, and they took the president's speech last night as a snub to the American people who had legitimate concerns about what they were hearing about this health care legislation. Is that right?
Absolutely. I talked to Representative Tom Price this morning, who's head of the Republican Study Committee.
Yeah, we had him on the show, yeah.
And, he has a bill, H.R. 3400, and there are 36 other bills, health care bills, just written by members of the Republican Study Committee. And it really grates on them when Obama or other Democrats say, the Republicans, all they do is criticize and they have no plan of their own. So Price and others actually printed out copies of their bill. They're not 1,000 pages long, by the way, and took them with them to the speech last night.
I saw that.
And when the president said, I'm always open to new ideas, my door is always open, they held up the bill.
Now, I may have missed this, but this is the first time that I've heard anybody say what those papers were that they were waving.
That's what they were.
Do you recall hearing that, Jerry?
I think I heard it, or maybe I read it last night. I must have read it. I didn't hear anybody on television mention it.
I assumed that it was some of their legislation, but I had no idea, frankly, that there was 36 different proposals up there. And of course, I winced when I saw him on Labor Day talk to the people there in Cincinnati, the labor union, and say, I just want to ask my opponents one thing. What's your answer? What's your alternative? None.
Well, it's driving Price and others kind of crazy because, obviously the media plays a role in this. They have not been able to get any traction. I'm working on a column for tomorrow on this, as a matter of fact. I looked through the Nexus database, which, has everything that's in all newspapers and magazines, TV shows. You look for H.R. 3200, which is the big House bill, 1,000 pages long. You find thousands of references to it. Tom Price's bill, I found 12. So they feel like they're just not getting any coverage, and they're being falsely accused, and I think this is correct, of not having a plan. So what he was holding up last night was his 268-page bill called Empowering Patients First Act, and others were holding up their own bills. And by the way, that's just in the House. There are Senate bills. Tom Coburn and others have written bills for Republicans in the Senate.
A bipartisan bill that Ron Wyden is on with Robert Bennett that is not getting any attention at all. It got my attention a year ago. They've had this thing out there for a long time, and it's a good bipartisan bill.
But the other thing, when I talked to Price today, the thing that made him somewhat angry was not only did the president kind of suggest that Republicans did their own plans, he also seemed to just not even act as if August happened.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was this enormous outpouring of, let's call it skepticism. Some parts anger, lots of concern by millions of Americans.
They were just like, a bunch of people out there lying about Obama and the legislation, is the way he characterized
about what's in this bill. So Tom Price said to me, quote, I think he, meaning Obama, also thumbed his nose at the American people in not recognizing or even acknowledging
he's out of touch, and
their sincere concerns, fears, and anger.
He made a mistake by treating it that way. I don't care how soothing your tones are. He's got a mean kind of undercurrent, partisan kind of me first approach to things that's a part of, I think, and he was subtly, in his own estimation anyway, dissing the hundreds of thousands of people who went out in August. Let me ask you about one more thing while I got you here. I was talking earlier about how miraculously, in one speech, the president was able to ensure 17 million people. Can you explain to us how that happened?
Wasn't that amazing? At two of the president's highest profile events over the summer, one of his town halls and also that the famous news conference in July, the president had talked about the 47 million Americans who don't have health insurance. Last night, all of a sudden, he pops up and he talks about the 30 million Americans who cannot get coverage. And so you think, what in the world is happening? And the thing is, you're a lawyer. There are a lot of lawyers out there. The president is a lawyer. You have to be very careful and listen.
Did you say lawyer?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
You have to listen to exactly what he says. He talks about the 30 million Americans who, quote, cannot get coverage. That's what he used to say, and those who do not have any health insurance at all. What he's saying is he's trying to talk about two groups. One, illegal aliens who do not have health coverage, and two, there are millions of Americans who can afford health coverage, but they don't buy it, either because they're stupid or in many more cases, they're young, they're healthy, and they actually don't need it right now. And so the president all of a sudden just changed the game, which was Democrats every day, they said 47 million Americans. And now their own president has said 30 million.
You know, if the president can make another couple of speeches, we're going to solve this uninsured problem.
Down to zero by next week.
Well, I think this illegal immigrant thing is probably the most important part of his doing the two-step on that, because, of course, in another part, he swore that, there will be no money for illegal immigration, as if they have any way of controlling that. These states issues driver's license apparently to anybody that comes through the door nowadays, and they're, it's a question between what's in the bill. It's kind of like, you won't be able to, you'll be able to keep your own insurance. That transmorphed into you will not be required to change your insurance.
More lawyerly language.
Oh, yeah. And we look at that and we say it's all in the operation, it's all in the handling, it's all in the regulations.
Yeah, but he exudes such confidence, Byron.
That the bureaucracy,
it's a shell game.
Well, I do think one thing. I think, and I haven't seen the poll numbers or what poll numbers we're going to get, I think he's going to get a temporary boost from this.
Yep.
But the problem that has hurt him and the Democrats is the facts of the bill. The actual provisions that are in these Democratic bills are doing them enormous damage, and that is not going to change as long as they keep pushing the same product. So he'll get a temporary boost, but then it's going back down.
I go back to this. What if they had been able to force through this bill in July?
There would have just been mass revolt. I mean, it would be stimulus too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Byron, for being with us.
Great to be here,
That's
Fred.
great.